But the news agencies are now having their content and their headlines faked by Kamala because that's who she is. It looks like it's an article from The Guardian that says, VP Harris fights abortion bans. Harris defends, reproductive freedom. And says, VP Harris is a champion for reproductive freedom and will stop Trump's abortion bans. As though that came from The Guardian. It's fake news. Lacked the necessary disclosures Google requires when they ran. Oh, wait a minute. So what you're saying is it didn't say it was sponsored by Kamala Harris. It didn't actually have that because there was a glitch. Kamala buying fake news headlines on Google. It's been discovered by this group and others. All Sides Now on X is going to walk us through exactly how this is working. You can see there's a sponsored ad here. It's paid for by Harris for president, but it's linking us to PBS. And there's something very sneaky that's going on here. But what's so curious about this is Google is also admitting in another piece from Axios that there has been a major Google glitch. And it's always so convenient how this technical glitch that you see always seemingly supports the Democrats. Why is this happening? Now, news agencies are unhappy about this because it's putting them in a tough spot, says Axios. You see what's happening here? This is a screenshot of all the different sponsored ads that Kamala is buying, right? It's fake news is what she's doing. She's buying fake headlines. I'm going to explain how these headlines are not accurate and Google's glitching out. So you see some of these sponsored posts, some of these are actually not showing sponsored at all because there's a glitch from Google. But the news agencies are now having their content and their headlines faked by Kamala because that's who she is. A Harris campaign now has been editing news headlines. This is what Axios says they've been doing, and the description within Google search ads. They've been doing this to make it appear as if Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, and other major publishers are all on her side, faking it. Now, why it matters, it says, look, it's common practice in commercial advertising world. Doesn't violate Google's policies to do this, but the ads are mimicking real news results from the search results closely enough that they've caught news outlets off guard. Okay, the news outlets know that they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to complain about it. Now, according to Google, the Trump campaign is not running these types of ads, but others have done it before, but Trump's not doing it. The ads say that they're sponsored, as we'll see, but it's not immediately clear that the text accompanying the news is written by the campaigns and not by the news publication, right? So they're trying to grift off of the credibility of the news agencies and they're rewriting the headlines. Now, let's explain how this is working. All Sides Now on X created this, saying they're misrepresenting articles in Google search, making them appear like endorsements from the news media. So for example, Kamala Harris history. If you Google that, they show us this image where there's a sponsored post, which is a small disclaimer, and it says it's paid for by Harris for president, right? Harris for president, the presidential campaign. Small disclaimer says sponsored. All Sides rates PBS as leans left, right? So they lean left. Now it's saying Kamala Harris's record, which is a different title. Who is Kamala Harris? Harris is the daughter of civil rights activist and blah, blah, blah. But the headline is different, okay? That's not what PBS actually said the headline was. The headline is actually a look at Kamala Harris's legal career and political record, right? Which is what the headline says. Now, that doesn't seem actually like it's that ominous. It's like they just changed a little bit. They just simplified it. Kamala Harris's record is different than what the PBS article actually says. So Kamala is going to link you back to PBS, but she's changing the headline to suit herself. Now, let's continue. Now, the ad is masquerading as a news article, and it's got a clear pro-Harris slant. It's not the news that is saying these things. The Harris campaign has changed the actual headline and the preview text to make it appear as though the news outlet is explicitly supporting the candidacy. So you see what's happening now? This headline really was biggest U.S. abortion rights groups back Kamala Harris as effective messenger. Okay, that's the actual Guardian headline, but that's not strong enough. So they changed the ad, right? And they're linking to the Guardian. So this makes it appear as this is what the Guardian is writing. It looks like it's an article from the Guardian that says VP Harris fights abortion bans. Harris defends, reproductive freedom, and says VP Harris is a champion for reproductive freedom and will stop Trump's abortion bans. As though that came from the Guardian. It's fake news. Many people might say that the Guardian and these other agencies are fake news in general, but Kamala is faking the headlines, making it appear as though it's real. Now, you might be responding and saying, Rob, it says sponsored, paid for by Harris for president. It's clearly right there. So everybody would know, unless you're an idiot, that it's sponsored by Harris and it's not an actual Guardian article and it's not real. Well, we're going to come back to that because that was a glitch that was glitched out. So a bunch of people didn't see it. Now, they designed it, as you can see, similar to a non-sponsored article. Now, when you click it, okay, the ad links to a normal news article, not an explicit endorsement. So it links you back over there, but you've already been programmed in your brain. Here's another example from the AP. Harris-related inquiry. Kamala Harris lift the middle class act. So there's an ad, right? But it looks like a news article right there. It says AP News, building up the middle class. AP News from Kamala, lower costs and higher wages. Sounds like the AP writes, a future where every person has the opportunity to not just to get by, but get ahead, okay? Now, the headline actually is different. Harris freshens up her message on the economy as Trump and Republicans go after her on inflation. So they're faking the headlines as though it's a real article, sponsored by Harris for president. So people go, wow, building up the middle class. Wow. AP News, they think that, says that Kamala's building up the middle class. That's incredible. What an incredible endorsement. Harris spent over $750 grand on Google ads in August. They're targeting swing states with this, like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Lots of money being dumped into these states, Arizona, Georgia, all the swing states, with fake news articles. But we also tried, they say, finding examples of Trump doing this. No, Trump's not doing it at all. They searched for all those terms, not happening. So an All Sides editor in Pennsylvania was signed into her company Google account when she discovered these ads. Her search results were likely personalized, are difficult to replicate, but beguiling voters with fake endorsements for major news outlets seems to be a new political tactic from fake Kamala. Keep an eye out for the sponsored label on Google search results to avoid being misled. And even the news agencies are like, what? You're grifting off of our brand? Here's what The Guardian said. While we understand why an organization might wish to align itself with The Guardian's trusted brand, we need to ensure it's being used appropriately and with our permission. You're not doing anything about it. You don't care. As long as it helps beat Trump, you don't care. We'll be reaching out to Google for more information about this practice, says The Guardian. Spokespeople for brands like CNN, USA Today, NPR, whose links appeared in Harris for President ads, said, we're unaware. Oh no, we had no idea. We don't care. I mean, we are basically endorsing her anyways. So, like, is this really new? Like, is this a big surprise to anybody that the media endorses Kamala or that she's grifting off of them at all? No. They're basically working together. Google said the ads don't violate its rules, but platforms in the past have wrestled with whether this can spread misinformation. So can you just rewrite an AP headline to whatever the hell you want? Facebook banned the ability to do this, citing its efforts to stop misinfo. Google argues that because the ads on search are labeled with sponsored, right? That's what the argument would be. Oh, they're sponsored. You can distinguish these. But a source familiar with the Harris campaign ads said the campaign buys search ads with new links to give voters searching for information more context. Now watch this. The campaign has complied with all of Google's rules, although a technical glitch in Google's ad library made it appear as though some ads lacked the necessary disclosures Google requires when they ran. Oh, wait a minute. So what you're saying is it didn't say it was sponsored by Kamala Harris. It didn't actually have that because there was a glitch. Just like the glitch that deleted Trump from the autocomplete. Just like the glitch that deleted the searches for the assassination. Why do all of these glitches always benefit one side? A Google spokesperson confirmed the glitch and said it's investigating what happened. Election advertisers are required to complete identity verifications and to show who paid for the ad and all that stuff, but they didn't have to do that. Since August 3rd, nearly a dozen news companies have been used in these types of search ads. They're using all the news. Independent UK, NPR, the AP, The Guardian, USA Today, PBS, CNN, CBS News Time, all of them. The ads include links to real articles, but the headlines have been altered and faked. For an example, an ad that ran alongside an article from The Guardian said VP Harris fights abortion bans, VP Harris and so on, which we read. This one links to an NPR story, so people think NPR wrote a headline called Harris will lower health costs. Kamala Harris will lower the cost of high-quality, affordable healthcare, endorsed by NPR. Yeah, right. The political ad world has always been murky. There's a fine line. Google believes our disclosures are good enough. And of course, it's another glitch. Kamala is buying fake news headlines because she is a fake candidate who's just been created out of thin air. And so lots of money being poured in on this, lots of power from the big tech and social media companies. Elon is apparently fighting back. This was an interesting piece over from the Wall Street Journal, and this comes right before or simultaneous with the aftermath of the Trump-Elon conversation. But Elon apparently is jumping in. Beginning in spring, spring, Elon quietly blocked out an hour on Fridays for politics. He's a busy man. In weekly meetings, consultants and vendors for a super PAC updated him on their progress. They have a goal of turning out 800,000 people to vote for Trump in the battleground states. Let's go. They proposed a budget of about $160 million, most of it coming from Musk. Talked about raising an army of more than 6,000 canvassers and others. Then, less than 3 months after launching, Musk signed off on firing most of the vendors, only for the super PAC to rehire one of them after the resulting chaos. He also replaced the Texas-based advisors who helped him get the group off the ground with veterans from Ron DeSantis' team. America PAC, which is Musk's first major foray into politics, is off the ground, has ignited other prominent donors. He's tackling the election effort with his similar style, and we'll see whether they succeed or not. The recent overhaul means that they are resetting about a month before early voting starts, fewer than 90 days before the presidential election, but the super PAC's new leadership is confident that they can execute the group's mandate, and the Trump camp has expressed support for the recent changes. They say the new program, 100% better than the old gang, solidly support this effort, says Trump's campaign advisor, Chris LaSavita. This guy's on the team, this guy's on the team, and Weekly and Calabrese are on the team, another fella on the team. So very interesting, and we'll be excited to see what comes of that from Elon. But we've got a battle on the social media front. Google continuing to glitch, Kamala continuing to buy fake news headlines, which is very appropriate for her fake campaign.